Hi everybody and welcome to Observing with Webb for April of 2015. We have a lot to get through, so I kind of want to go quickly, so maybe you need to stop and rewind this at times, but we got a lot of cool stuff going on. We've got, you'll be able to see all of the planets this month at one time or another, or the visible ones with your naked eye. We have a meteor shower, the Lyrids, and we have a total lunar eclipse, a short one, but a good one. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just talk about the planets real quick, and then I'll go through the calendar of events and maybe get to some constellations. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the planets that you can see. Let me just change my viewing location to my house. Okay, and let's just go with April 15th. And let's go to the west at sunset. What do we see? We see Venus and Mars out there in the west. Okay. Now here's what's going to happen throughout the month. Okay, let's actually start at the first. You'll see Venus and Mars out there, and as the month progresses, Venus gets higher and Mars gets lower, and Mercury comes and takes Mars's place. Okay. So let's say you're trying to actually look at these. If you're looking for Venus, look west after sunset. It'll be that first star that you see up here. It's very, very bright. Okay? If you have binoculars or a telescope, you might actually be able to see the gibbous shape of it. Let's see if we can zoom in. See, that's kind of what it looks like right there. Okay. Let's zoom back out. Whoops. There we go. If you want to see Mars, okay, again, you'll have to go earlier in the month, okay? You'll be looking for that visibly red star, and it's only going to be about maybe a couple degrees above the horizon, maybe up to 10 degrees above the horizon. Hard to see. But if you're looking for Mars, on the 19th, the moon will be close by. And it'll also be close by Mercury, but that'll be tough to see because the moon is very, very thin. In fact, you can't even really see it there. So that will require binoculars, okay? Also, if you're looking for Venus, on the 21st is when the moon will be close to Venus. And I'll talk a little more about that later. So, around sunset, Venus, Mars, and Mercury are out there in the west. But also out there, if we zoom out and look toward the other side, oh, there it is, Jupiter, up in the south. Let's get it closer to nighttime. It's going to be up in the south, and yeah, it's over in Cancer to the right of Leo. If you zoom in, if you have, let's say, binoculars or a telescope, you might actually be able to see the moons of Jupiter, Europa, Io, Ganymede, and where's Callisto? Callisto might be hiding back there. Oh, there it is, way far out there. You might also be able to see the cloud bands on Jupiter as well. But Jupiter's out there. You just look to the south after sunset, and that's going to be going, and moving toward the west throughout the night. And right around 3 a.m. is when Jupiter is going to set. So you have from sunset to 3 a.m. to check out Jupiter. I'm going to rewind time just a little bit. Now, the other planet that you can see is going to be visible in the morning, well, actually, late evening into the early morning, and that is Saturn. Now, if we look in the southeast, it rises anywhere between midnight at the beginning of the month and 10 p.m. at the end of the month, and you'll see it rising. And it's over there in Scorpio, or Scorpius. Very neatly, there's these three bright stars here, and Saturn kind of makes this fourth star in this arc, which is really, really neat. And if you can zoom in on Saturn with binoculars or a telescope, whoop, you'll be able to see some really nice rings of Saturn, okay? All right, and that's really the planets for the month. What I'd like to, oh, by the way, if you're looking for Saturn and you want to use the moon, on the 8th, the moon will be right near Saturn, okay? All right, let's talk about those events then for the month, okay? Let's see what we got. Let's start off, let's go back to April 4th, okay? April 4th, and let's go for sunset on April 4th. What's happening April 4th? Well, first of all, you have a full moon, Okay? It's visible all night, very, very bright. Now, the other thing that's happening on the 4th, okay, is as the night goes by and into the 5th, okay, you see Earth's shadow is, whoops, I meant to say, the morning of April 4th. So April 3rd, the night of April 3rd into the morning of April 4th, you'll get to see the moon go into the Earth's shadow, and that's what we get that's when we get a lunar eclipse, okay? Here's the problem, and let me center on the moon here. Okay? The problem with this, at least for us, is that it only enters the Earth's shadow right at dawn, which is unfortunate, okay? If you're on the East Coast, you're pretty much out of luck. You're not really going to see totality. You might see part of the partial, but that's only if you have a clear view of the western horizon in the morning. Plus, I'm also in eastern Pennsylvania, so if you live in western Pennsylvania or more inland, you'll be able to see more of this as you go. But 6:15 a.m. is when, Eastern Daylight Time, 6:15 a.m. is when the moon will start entering the Earth's shadow. So right about, boom, there. Oh, that's really low on the horizon. Probably won't get to see much. But let's say you're further west. This will happen earlier in the evening. So let's say you go to, I don't know, let's go to Los Angeles. Okay? And let's skip the whole zooming thing. And let's go and find the moon. Center on that. All right, now, if you're in, let's say, Los Angeles, California, okay, I'm going to fast forward time right about, right about there, okay? Around 3:15 a.m., okay, the Earth's shadow really starts to get cast on the moon. So 3:15, it's going to enter the Earth's umbral shadow, and that's the beginning of the partial eclipse. And the shadow is going to eat away. This isn't the best visual, honestly. It's going to eat away until, boom, you have totality. Now, totality only lasts with this eclipse about 8 to 12 minutes, depending on whose calculations you use. So, yeah, you don't have much. And it's going to be a lighter or a brighter eclipse. It doesn't get that really deep dark red where it almost disappears. But you should be able to see almost all of totality, okay, if you're in Los Angeles. Basically, the moon will be completely engulfed at 5:54 a.m., okay? And, yeah. The problem is dawn is coming at 6:36 Pacific Daylight Time, so you will be contending with some daylight. Now, I could show this, but I'm running low on time. I want to make this quick. If you lived in Hawaii, you'd be seeing this starting, I believe, around midnight and going into the morning, and you'd get basically the whole process. So if you live in Hawaii, make sure you get that camera out and take some pictures. Okay? All right, so let's head back to Ephrata, and let's head back to sunset. Let's go to April 8th, because April 8th, what we notice, let's look actually to the east. April 8th, what you'll eventually find is the moon and Saturn are close by. Okay, morning of April 8th, you'll see the moon and Saturn right nearby. Okay, moon, Saturn, and Scorpius is in there. Okay, then let's zoom out a little bit. Not much really happens until the 11th of April. 3 days later, that's when you find the last quarter moon. That means the left half of the moon is lit up. It's visible from about midnight and into the morning, so you can't really see it before then. Also, again, nothing happens for the next couple days. Now, if you look at the moon, you'll notice that over the next couple of days, it gets thinner and more crescent-like, and it's actually getting closer to the sun, and you have to get up earlier and earlier to see it. until the 18th, which is the new moon, which is when we won't see anything as far as the moon goes in the sky. All right, so then it gets a little interesting from there on out. Let's go to the 19th, April 19th, okay? And let's go to the west, and let's go to sunset. And here's what we're going to find. Like I said before, April 19th, the moon, Mars, and Mercury are all together here, but they're going to be hard to see. And that's because it's a very thin crescent moon. It's only about 10 degrees above the horizon. And Mars is right over here. Mercury is over here. You'll probably need binoculars. I can almost guarantee it. Now, the nice part is, though, with this new set of lunar phases, is you will see 2 days later, the moon will be close to Venus. And if we center on that, okay, as the night goes by and it gets darker, you'll be able to see Venus, the moon, and Taurus all together, which is really neat to see. Now, on the 22nd, okay, night of the 22nd, what you'll see is the Lyrid meteor shower. Now, this is typically a weaker shower, but it's still a major one. Not the greatest one, but it's okay. You'll get about 10 to 20 meteors per hour, which is one every 5 minutes or so. But it's not that spaced out. It's not evenly spaced out. That's an average. But there's no moon to interfere because the moon is a crescent, which isn't very bright, and it sets before you really get going. Some advice: go to a very dark location, lie down in a nice chair that can look straight up, look at the whole sky, take in the whole sky. You don't want a telescope, you don't want any of that, but just start watching and actually look toward the northeast, because that's where Lyra, okay, the namesake of this one, is going to be popping up right around 11 p.m. You'll see it in the northeast. This, Lyra, is the radiant. That's where the meteors appear to be coming from. And you'll see it gets higher and higher, and the higher it is, the more meteors we'll see, because we're not blocking this part. They're coming from Lyra, so they're going out, 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 out. And so the higher it is in the sky, the more meteors we will see. And so you want to take in as much of the sky as you possibly can. Okay. So that is the meteor shower. Let's go to the 25th and the 26th. On the 25th, we've got a close encounter between the moon and Jupiter, so we got to look. There you go. Night of the 25th, you'll see the moon and Jupiter are close together. You can actually bring your binoculars out, look at the moon. It's a first quarter moon, which is only visible from, let's say, until midnight. But Jupiter's up there, and also the Beehive cluster is up there in Cancer. So it would be neat to check all of those out. And on the 26th, Jupiter is still close by the moon. It's just that the moon has moved a little bit. Okay? So that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe has been a good number of minutes. But if you want to stop here, AELC, that might be a good spot. Otherwise, I'm going to go quickly into the constellations. Okay. Now, as far as constellations go, let's go for mid-month, April 15th, and let's look at the zenith straight up. Now, if it's after sunset, let's click on that, 7:43. Let's go to about, you know what? Let's go to about 9:15. What you'll see around 9:15 is Ursa Major's legs, Leo Minor, and Leo are right up there if you're looking straight up. Looking straight up is tough to do because you kind of get twisted around. Now, if you wait until about midnight, you'll see everything moves, and around midnight you'll see Canis Venatici, Como Berenices, and Bootes is starting to get in there as well. Now, if you wait until the early morning and you look straight up, you'll see Hercules, and then you'll start seeing Lyra, which is one of the summer constellations, and maybe Cygnus up there a little bit. That's a sign that summer is coming. Okay? Lastly, let's go back to sunset, and let's look out toward the west. This is your last chance to really use Orion as a guidepost, because Orion sets about 10 o'clock, and it's just getting too low. But you can use Orion's belt and go to the right of Orion's belt, and you'll find Taurus over here, with the Pleiades over here, and Venus is actually in that area this month. If you follow Orion's belt to the left, you'll find Canis Major, with the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. And above them, you find Gemini up here, the twins, Auriga, the big pentagon in the sky. And also, if you move over, Leo is up high in the south. You've got that backward question mark combined with the right triangle over here. Leo's very good to find. And yeah, I think I'm going to stop there for today. I hope you have very clear, dark skies. I hope you get some sort of a glimpse of the eclipse if you're on the right part of the Earth. And I hope you get to see many meteors. So I'd like to wish all of you very clear, dark skies for the month of April.